Hi, Brian Hong, Director of Strategic and Digital Marketing for Namco Bandai Games America.
Let's start by talking about Dark Souls. Can you talk a little about the success that the original game had?
Oh, it was a big breakout success. We were all really excited and very, very pleased with the fan reception of the game. Coming off the heels of the Demon Souls game, it was it was a spiritual successor to the Demon Souls game, and for us to have Dark Souls kind of come out and get the reception that it did and the excitement that the fans had, it was very gratifying. It was a result of a lot of hard work from a lot of people.
What impact did that fan feedback have as you are unleashing Dark Souls 2?
It's a very big, complex pot that the developer's trying to put together. They listen very intently to what the fans think about the game, and they pay very close attention to what everyone is saying, and they weigh all of that feedback very heavily, believe it or not. They care deeply that the fans really get a good experience out of this, and they try and balance between what is really good for the game and what is really good for the brand, and how do we make sure that the fans are delivered what they're looking for. So it's a constant back and forth balancing act. It's not that easy, but they work hard at it.
Can you talk a little about the story and where this picks up with the sequel?
I'm not going to reveal too much about the story. What we can tell you, though, is the way that the story is articulated in this franchise is very unique. It doesn't get spoon-fed to you. And a lot of it is picked up through the NPCs in the game and through the actual playing of the game. That's how the story unfolds, and that is going to remain true to the franchise. So,
what is new when it comes to picking up Dark Souls 2?
Well, what we can talk about today are some of the things that you've seen in the demo. The new game engine, for example, shows you a great deal of improvements in the graphics. You probably noticed some improvements and changes in some of the combat maneuvers that you can execute. So these are things that, to the really hardcore player, they're going to instantly pick up. But even for somebody who picks up, say, Dark Souls 2 for the very first time, who's never played, they're still going to get a really, really intense experience.
Are you guys designing it that if someone is entering the franchise with the sequel, that they'll know what's happened in the first one?
Well, the connection between the first two games, there's definitely going to be a connection that you'll find out as you play the game. But again, without going into too much details, could you pick up Dark Souls 2 and have a great experience with it without having played Dark Souls 1? That answer is yes.
Can you talk at all about any of the enemies or the characters that you'll be encountering in the demo?
Well, yes. If you can get through, there's a whole gauntlet of enemies that you got to get through. You'll notice that there are a couple of mini bosses that you fight through, but at the very end, if you can get to that final level or at that final stage in that level, so far no one's been able to do it in the non-invincible mode that we put out there. But it is a mirror night, and the most striking thing that you'll notice in that area, in that portion of the demo, is the environmental effects, and that's something that's very new. That people instantly, a lot of the folks here who've been playing today are fans of Dark Souls, and they instantly picked up on it. The sound design and the effects that you see in the weather, everything that's going on around you just seems to have come to life in a way that you didn't quite capture in Dark Souls. So that's something that we're seeing a lot of positive reactions to today.
Dark Souls also had a reputation for being a very challenging game. Are you doing anything to open it up a little bit more beyond the hardcore?
Well, the one thing that we want to make sure everyone understands is that this game is going to be every bit as challenging as Dark Souls 1. So if you really, really love that challenge in Dark Souls 1, you're going to love Dark Souls 2 for the same reasons.
What can you talk about in terms of when this game will be available?
Today we're talking about the window as being early 2014. We will be slowly unveiling more details about the actual street date as the weeks wear on. So people can look forward to more at E3.
And platforms?
Platforms. Focused on current gen right now. The platforms that you saw in Dark Souls 1, Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and PC.